Bill and I welcome everybody to this season of Dragway Memories. I want to thank Greg Wicklum and his son Lawrence for their help in getting Dragway Memories back on track.
Also want to thank Kevin Dundas from Carbelt for sponsoring the show, and want to thank him also for sponsoring the goodie bags for this past Drag Strip Memory Show.
Thanks, Kevin. We'd also like to thank our associate sponsor, Ted Greshuk from ICD Insurance Brokers, and Paul Pauly from Paul Pauly Enterprises. These guys understand the need to keep the memories alive. Thanks, guys.
We begin with Rob's recent trip to the Motorama.
And you're watching Dragway Memories.
Okay, here's the first of several interviews we've done recently. This one's on F.J. Smith. Check it out.
Were you from this area, Fred, originally?
Yes. Yeah, born in Dunville, grew up in Hagersville, Caledonia, and ended up in Cayuga, so kind of been through the whole county.
There you go. So your first car was anything racing or just a regular car?
First car was a 37 Ford, but it drug it out of a garage in Hamilton when nobody wanted a 37 Ford. Now everybody does.
Now they do.
And
yes.
Put a 283 in it in a neighborhood barn, and that was my first episode for all that.
So
raced
you were
it a little bit.
You were a hot rodder right from the get-go.
Yep.
Excellent, excellent. We have all kinds of questions to ask Fred here, and we're going to ask him now about his first race car. What was your first race car? Was it in the stock car racing, or were you a drag racer first?
Yeah, when we moved out here, I got hooked up with a gentleman in We mini stock raced, traveled a bunch, and we did pretty well. Did all the engines, developed the cars here. Engines hung from the tree out in the front yard,
That's how we swapped them back then.
and
Backyard engineering.
so we did that for a good number of years. Then I don't know, it kind of got mixed in there. I'd have to think about it a little bit as far as the timelines, but went stock car racing with Randy Slack, built a compact car and engine, and that car was pretty much unbeatable. And then got back into mini stock racing with Randy Slack, cousin Randy Slack.
So there's
Built that
more than
car.
one Randy Slack.
There's two, yes.
Oh.
And he was my first employee. We were getting in demand to do work here, and so I was still teaching, and Randy was working in the shop during the days. And the drag racing thing kind of came about. I'd been friends with Bill Morrison since we are university friends, born a day apart, and
Wow.
still to this day real good friends. So at university, I'd go home with him, and we'd work on cylinder
his-
heads on the kitchen counter, you know, the usual stuff back then with the first car. Then the second car, I found the wagon, or the sedan delivery. I found it out here, and he kind of went on his own way with that. I was away from that for a while. Then, of course, he got involved with the Toronto crew and Engineered Racing Services.
Engineered racing, yeah.
And little be known, back then you could not put engineered in a company's name without an engineer. Bill was the engineer.
Bill's
So-
an actual engineer.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
So,
Well, we're learning something new today.
yeah, so the Engineered Racing was more than just the other crew. Bill was
Bill was
the
the
engineer.
engineer, so they
The
could call it
engineer.
Engineered Racing
That's
Services.
He was working, well, I worked for TransCanada Pipelines when I got out of university for about a year and a half, and Bill was there, a couple other friends. And by then he had his Camaro. And instead of dragging it back to Toronto all the time, they just left it here.
Left it here,
Right
yeah.
about where we are now. And then there was two summers, I guess, he got out on the field in out west, and so he had me down as co-driver. So the first year I couldn't win around I could win around, I couldn't beat Pete Fedden, but
Not many
same
could.
class. But I drove the car. Second year I got a lot better at it, and then I got the itch to do something. So the third year, which would have been the second year of Super Modified, first year when they split it into three classes.
A, B, and C super modified.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so that winter, Betsy and I built the Camaro
The 67.
in the garage, and I bought a motor from Vince Annie to start me off, and then that year I built a motor which was pretty competitive by then, and carried on from there.
The Rob Potter collection spans from 1968 to present. Have a look.
Weekend at DRAGWAY Park. Top fuel prices, super nitro brand funny cars, also competition of the College 20 Rolling Series.
that's it for this week, folks. See you next episode.
Remember, hook hard, go straight, don't be late, and may your God bless you. See ya!